Thanksgiving has a rich history, and in many ways, it is the history of America. Thanksgiving dates back to the time when the Pilgrims reached America, and were greeted warmly by the Native Americans, also known as Indians. In course of time, these Pilgrims mixed into the culture and life of the Native Americans, which gradually developed into the nation that we know today. There are two views of the history of Thanksgiving though, both of which are underlined below. The turkey has become the most important icon of Thanksgiving. But we have found the real story of Thanksgiving, including how it all began. The story of Thanksgiving is basically the story of the Pilgrims and their thankful community feast at Plymouth, Massachusetts. The Pilgrims, who set sail from Plymouth, England on a ship called the Mayflower on September 6, 1620, were bound for the resourceful New World. The Mayflower was a small ship crowded with men, women, and children, besides the sailors on board. Aboard were passengers comprising the Separatists, who called themselves the Saints, and others, whom the Separatists called the Strangers. After land was sighted in November following 66 days of a lethal voyage, a meeting was held and an agreement of truce was worked out. It was called the Mayflower Compact. The agreement guaranteed equality among the members of the two groups. They merged together to be recognized as the Pilgrims. They elected John Carver as their first governor. Pilgrims had first sighted the land off Cape Cod, Massachusetts. They did not settle until they arrived at a place called Plymouth. It was Captain John Smith who named the place after the English port city in 1614 and had already settled there for over 5 years. And it was there that the Pilgrims finally decided to settle. Plymouth offered an excellent harbor and plenty of resources. The local Indians were also non-hostile. But their happiness was short-lived. Ill-equipped to face the winter on this estranged place, they were ravaged thoroughly. Somehow they were saved by a group of local Native Americans who befriended them and helped them with food. Soon the natives taught the settlers the technique to cultivate corns and grow native vegetables, and store them for hard days. By the next winter they had raised enough crops to keep them alive. The winter came and passed by without much harm. The settlers knew they had beaten the odds and it was time to celebrate. They celebrated it with a grand community feast wherein the friendly Native Americans were also invited. It was kind of a harvest feast the Pilgrims used to have in England. The recipes entail corn, Indian corn, barley, pumpkins, and peas, fowl, deer, fish, and yes, of course the yummy wild turkey. However, the third year was real bad when the corns got damaged. Pilgrim Governor William Bradford ordered a day of fasting and prayer, and rain happened to follow soon. To celebrate, November 29th of that year was proclaimed a day of Thanksgiving. This date is believed to be the real beginning of the present Thanksgiving Day. Though the Thanksgiving Day is presently celebrated on the fourth Thursday of every November. This date was set by President Franklin D. Roosevelt in 1939. Earlier it was the last Thursday in November as was designated by the former President Abraham Lincoln. But sometimes the last Thursday would turn out to be the fifth Thursday of the month. This falls too close to the Christmas, leaving the businesses even less than a month's time to cope up with the two big festivals. Hence the change.